let's get potting up. I'm going to use the 72 cell Mackenzie seed starting trays that I bought, and I do like to kind of divide these up. I just think it makes it easier to transport, and then when it comes time to needing to harden off, you can do that with ease, just picking up individual trays, because obviously I've got different seed varieties that I'm working with. Typically, you know, here locally in Northern Kentucky, people go by the old adage of, you know, wait until Mother's Day kind of thing. I definitely get a jump on, especially my vegetable garden. I start sowing outdoors in March. When I've waited till April in the past, I just haven't had the same luck long term. So I did go ahead and pre-moisten some of my potting mix. I'm going to do that, put a little bit more on there. Just because as a beginner, I haven't quite figured out how much water to spray on top or put in that collection tray underneath the cells. So still trying to figure that one out. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of pre-moisten this soil. Pour some water on it, get my hands in there. I should really have rolled these sleeves up. Too late now. Doing this on a Sunday, trying to find some free time in the old schedule. And I have been involving my kids in this. I think that's a good thing to do is, you know, get them excited about gardening and things and letting them know that, hey, there are things that you can do in the wintertime. So I'm going to grab some of my soil. I've got 27 little cell here. And here we are with how our potting trays look like. This is just a cookie sheet underneath. And my seeds here, very tiny. I just lost one, but they're actually not too terribly tiny. You can still see them pretty well. So that says to plant them, I believe it's 1/4 of an inch in the cells. So you want to have a little bit of soil, but not too much. I feel like Bachelors Buttons perennials, those need some, I believe, some light. So I'm just going to put a couple in each cell. And then the reason you want to watch out how many you're putting per cell, because you don't want like a massive clump of individual plants, from what I understand, because you don't want to crowd them, you know. You don't want to crowd the plants. So you definitely want to give them plenty of space, and you want to just minimize your work that you have to do down the road in terms of having to thin them and split them. All right, so that's going to be the Bachelor's button right there. Hold that thought. And I'm just going to go ahead and label these. Put the date on here. All right, and then the other seeds that I'm working with, which 10 to 16 weeks. This Eryngium, I think I'm going to go through all these seeds today because there were not that many, and I believe there are only 25 actually. This is Eryngium. It's quite a big word. That actually is sea holly. Sea holly. So I do have the Snapdragon that's 8 to 12 weeks. I think I am going to start that. Yeah, definitely going to start that. And this has 30 seeds. That's it. Wow. Yeah, I don't know about my choice. Because some of these are like 50 and 100 seeds. But these ones that take longer, there's not that many seeds in there. I'm really going to have to be strategic, right? And then I'm also going to do some Snapdragons. And the packet here tells me surface sow light is required. I'm not going to cover these up either. I'm just going to put these on the top here. So I've got a mix of sea holly, Bachelor Button, and Snapdragons. Now, I have seen the videos about these seeds. They are teeny, aren't they? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yes. I don't know how with my fat fingers I can get those in there. Wow. And I also need to compare these, growing these in the seed starting mix as well. So I'm going to keep these out, keep the Bachelor's Button out for that. Very careful. And now it's time to move our trays. Some of our other friends. This is the tray that my daughter did. And so there we go. I wasn't sure how much water to put in here. I think I'm probably going to need to put a little bit more. Our dome on. And voila. And we wait. And so that's it for right now. Doesn't look like a ton of action, but I feel like under the lights and with the dome, hopefully we're going to start seeing some germination. So my seedlings finally came out of their little home, but check this out. There's some kind of mold or fungus, and it's really fuzzy. It's also on the bottom here. I'm hoping that's not what's called damping off disease. So what I'm going to do, first things first, I'm going to open this window, these blinds, because sometimes this can happen because your seedlings don't get enough sunlight. I'm just going to put them in the window since we've got some bright light coming in. Today's almost 50 degrees, so gotta take advantage of these days, especially in January and February, when we can get out, get some vitamin D, get some beautiful sun, and take care of some garden jobs that are pretty seasonally dependent. One of those would be pruning our rose bushes. January is a great time to do that. Today I'm going to be looking for brown diseased branches. Basically brown, hollow in the center. That's what you're looking for. You want to keep your main canes intact. A lot of those side canes, especially the spindly, really thin ones, those are ones that you want to target. You can see all those thorns. That's never a good sign. Doesn't mean the whole bush is a goner, but definitely want to get rid of that. And so here's what remains of the rose bush. Pretty much half its size, but that's okay. This one's looking a little rough anyway. This branch really needs to be done away with, but I don't have the proper tool out today, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Yeah, so glad to have another garden job done in the winter. So today's the big day. We are going to do a little test hitting regular potting soil against this seed starter mix. Now this isn't a solid block. I purchased this one at the Dollar Tree. It's compressed seed starter mix. This is from the packaging, and it says it's made out of, what is it, coconut coir, C-O-I-R. Smells nothing like coconut, by the way. It's a mix of that, and no, it actually is 100% coconut coir. So this stuff is really, I understand, permeable, which means this is going to be major drainage. So this means AKA water more. So the watering needs, I think, are going to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to use a little 6-cell tray for this. I'm going to try not to expand this whole thing. You have to put this in warm water and let it expand, and then it loosens up, and then you can work with it. So yeah, I'll show you how this coconut coir works. I'm going to try to just, oh, it easily breaks. I thought that was going to be a lot harder. I'm using 1 cup of warm water because I'm using half of the coconut coir block. So just sit that in there and wait. Been soaking up the water like a sponge. Packaging says to wait 2 full minutes for the block to absorb all the water, which is what we've done. And now comes the fun part where we can just, oh, look at that. It breaks up beautifully. get our hands a little dirty and fill up our cell. Already I can feel it's a lot lighter and less dense than the potting soil. It definitely has a little bit more of a brown color. You can see the little fibers and the hairs. It is like spongy. It is like a sponge cake, no lie. That is actually kind of cool. Delphiniums are gorgeous, but I think they're just really finicky to start from seed. So now we've got our little tray of the seed starting mix, and I am going to label these. I did buy a better Sharpie for labeling. So you can see the seed starting mix is way lighter in color, and that's the potting soil. Touching these here, they're still pretty damp, so I don't think we need to give them any water just this second, but we definitely need to bottom water, I guess you call it, or we could actually just spray on the top. I don't think that was a bad thing. Now I can talk about cold stratification, because that is something I'm gonna have to do with my lavender. So this is gonna involve putting these things in the fridge for like, I think 2 weeks or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. I think I'm gonna winter sow these two. I'm gonna winter sow some lavender, winter sow some Snapdragon, Sweet William. This needs light to germinate. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that on there. So whether it has to be cold stratified or it needs light to germinate, because if it needs light to germinate, that means you do not put any soil over the top. That's something important to know, because that's going to affect how you water it, because you don't want to spray it from overhead with water, because then that could move the seed under the soil. You get my drift.